The Awakening. The crimson sun of Novus Prime cast long shadows across the barren landscape as Dr. Ilara Voss stepped out of the underground city of Haven. Her eyes, adapted to the dim light of humanity's last refuge, squinted against the harsh glare. 3,000 years had passed since the Galactic Consortium had turned on humanity, reducing Earth to a molten wasteland and scattering the survivors across the stars. Ilara's hand instinctively went to the pendant around her neck, a smooth, iridescent stone that had been passed down through generations of her family. Little did she know that this innocuous heirloom would soon change the course of human history. Dr. Voss, a voice crackled through her comm unit. We found something in the old mining tunnels. You need to see this. Minutes later, Ilara stood in a newly excavated chamber, staring at a sight that took her breath away. A sleek obsidian obelisk rose from the ground, its surface unmarred by the passage of millennia. Strange, flowing script glowed with an inner light, pulsing gently in the darkness. It's not of human origin, whispered Dr. Genrao, Haven's chief archaeologist, and it predates our arrival on Novus Prime by at least 1,000 years. Ilara approached the obelisk, drawn by an inexplicable urge. As her fingers brushed its surface, her pendant began to glow, resonating with the alien artifact. Suddenly, the chamber was filled with holographic projections, star maps, schematics for advanced technology, and images of a war that spanned the galaxy. A figure materialized before them, tall, ethereal, with eyes that held the wisdom of eons. Greetings, children of Earth, the being spoke, its voice echoing in their minds. I am Azura, last guardian of the precursors. If you are seeing this message, then our worst fears have come to pass. Over the next hour, Azura's message unfolded a tale that shattered everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe. The Galactic Consortium, far from being the benevolent organization they had once believed in, was a front for a parasitic race known as the Void Harbingers. These beings fed on the creative energies of sentient species, culling civilizations before they could reach their full potential. Humanity was not meant to be their prey, Azura explained. Your species carries within it a spark of the precursors, our chosen inheritors. The attack on Earth was no accident, but a deliberate attempt to extinguish the greatest threat to the Harbinger's dominion. Ilara's mind reeled with the implications. But why tell us this now? What can we do against an enemy that nearly wiped us out 3,000 years ago? Azura's form smiled, a gesture both sad and hopeful. Because you are ready. The gift of the precursors has matured within you, waiting to be awakened. The beam gestured to Ilara's pendant. That stone is a key, unlocking the legacy we left for you. With it, you can access the knowledge and technology of our civilization. As the hologram faded, Ilara turned to her stunned colleagues. The weight of this revelation settled on her shoulders, along with the responsibility it entailed. Humanity had survived, clinging to existence on the fringes of the galaxy. Now they had been given a chance not just to reclaim their place among the stars, but to fulfill a destiny written in the very fabric of the universe. Contact the Council, Ilara said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. It's time for humanity to step out of the shadows. As the news spread through Haven, a spark ignited in the hearts of its inhabitants. For 3 millennia, they had been refugees, survivors clinging to the edge of extinction. Now, a fire long dormant began to burn, a mixture of hope, determination, and the unquenchable human spirit that had carried them across the stars. In the days that followed, Ilara and her team worked tirelessly to decipher the knowledge left by the precursors. The obelisk was a repository of information beyond their wildest dreams, faster-than-light technology that would revolutionize their fleet, energy systems that could power entire worlds, and weapons capable of piercing the strongest shields. But more than just technology, the precursors had left them a legacy, an understanding of the cosmic balance and humanity's role in maintaining it. They learned of other species subjugated by the Void Harbingers, potential allies in the coming storm. As the first month drew to a close, Haven hummed with an energy it hadn't known in centuries. Ships were being retrofitted with precursor tech, volunteers trained in combat and diplomacy, and plans laid for humanity's return to the galactic stage. Ilara stood once more at the entrance to Haven, watching as the first of their new ships rose silently into the crimson sky. The vessel, christened Phoenix, was a testament to human ingenuity and precursor wisdom, a harbinger of the revolution to come. "We're really doing this," Jen said, coming to stand beside her. "After all this time, we're going back." Ilara nodded, her eyes fixed on the vanishing ship. "We're not just going back, Jen. We're going to reshape the galaxy." She turned to her friend, a fierce determination in her gaze. "The Void Harbingers thought they ended our story. They're about to learn it was just the beginning." As night fell on Novus Prime, the inhabitants of Haven dreamed of stars long lost and victories yet to come. Humanity had been forged in the crucible of near extinction, tempered by 3,000 years of hardship and survival. Now, armed with the legacy of the precursors and their own indomitable will, they prepared to write a new chapter in the history of the cosmos. The awakening had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The preparation. The cavernous war room deep within Haven buzzed with activity as holographic displays flickered with data streams and star charts. Dr. Ilara Voss stood at the center, her eyes darting between screens as she absorbed the influx of information from the Phoenix's first reconnaissance mission. "The Galactic Consortium's influence has grown far beyond what we anticipated," reported Captain Talon Reed, his weathered face grim on the main view screen. "They control nearly 70% of the known galaxy, either directly or through puppet governments." Ilara's jaw tightened. "And the other 30%? A mix of independent systems, disputed territories, and something else." Talon's image was replaced by footage of a massive space station, unlike anything they'd seen before. "We found this on the edge of uncharted space. It's some kind of refugee hub, filled with species we've never encountered. They call it Sanctuary." A murmur rippled through the assembled leaders of Haven. Counselor Lyra Shen, head of diplomacy, leaned forward. "Potential allies." "More than that," Ilara said, her mind racing. "They're survivors, just like us, victims of the Void Harbinger's culling." She turned to address the room. "This changes everything. We're not alone in this fight." Over the next few months, Haven transformed. The knowledge from the precursor obelisk, combined with humanity's innate creativity, led to technological leaps that would have taken centuries under normal circumstances. Deep in the planet's crust, matter fabricators churned out components for a fleet of ships that would make the consortium's forces obsolete. Training simulations, enhanced by precursor neural interface technology, turned civilians into skilled pilots and soldiers in a fraction of the usual time. But Ilara knew that technology alone wouldn't be enough. Humanity needed allies, a network of support throughout the galaxy. Under the cover of stealth technology reverse-engineered from the obelisk, diplomatic teams made covert contact with resistance movements on consortium-controlled worlds. On a distant jungle planet, Ambassador Genreo met with the leaders of the Sylvan Conclave, a coalition of plant-based sentients who had suffered under consortium rule. "We offer you more than just liberation," Gen said, his voice translating into a symphony of rustling leaves. "We offer you a chance to strike back at those who would reduce all life to mere fuel for their hunger." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy, on ocean worlds and gas giants, in asteroid colonies and subterranean cities. Slowly, cautiously, a network of allies began to form. Back on Novus Prime, Ilara oversaw the development of weapons that could target the Void Harbingers directly. "They feed on creative energy," she explained to the research team. "So we'll give them more than they can handle." The result was the Novus Flare, a device that could generate a controlled burst of pure creative potential, overwhelming the Harbinger's ability to absorb it. Initial tests were promising, but the technology was still unstable, prone to burning out its wielder. As the first year of preparation drew to a close, Ilara called a meeting of Haven's full council. The chamber was packed, tension thick in the air as she took the podium. 3,000 years ago, humanity was brought to the brink of extinction. She began, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. We survived through sheer force of will, clinging to life on this harsh world. But mere survival is no longer enough. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing the progress they'd made. The fleet, the allies, the weapons. We have been given a second chance, not just for ourselves, but for all the species suffering under the Void Harbinger's dominion. The precursors chose us for a reason. It's time we lived up to that choice. She paused, looking out at the faces of those who had carried the torch of humanity through its darkest hour. In 1 month, we reveal ourselves to the galaxy. We will offer hope to the oppressed, challenge the consortium's lies, and bring the fight directly to the Harbingers. It won't be easy. We may face defeat or worse. But if we don't take this stand, everything we've built, everything we are, will eventually be consumed. The chamber erupted in cheers and applause. Ilara felt the weight of history on her shoulders, but also the strength of her people behind her. As the meeting adjourned, she found herself looking at the precursor pendant, its soft glow a reminder of the legacy they carried. I hope we're ready, she whispered to herself. In orbit above Novus Prime, the first ships of humanity's new fleet assembled. Sleek and powerful, they represented the perfect fusion of precursor wisdom and human innovation. At their center, the flagship Prometheus stood ready to carry the flame of revolution to the stars. As the final preparations were made, a sense of anticipation filled Haven. For 3 millennia, they had hidden in the shadows, nursing their wounds and keeping the ember of their civilization alive. Now that ember was about to become a blaze that would illuminate the darkness of the galaxy. Humanity was no longer merely surviving. They were about to remind the cosmos why they had once been feared, why the Harbingers had sought to destroy them. The children of Earth were returning to the galactic stage, carrying with them the hope of countless oppressed species and the fury of a people long denied their destiny. The Void Harbingers had sown the wind with their betrayal. Now, 3,000 years later, they would reap the whirlwind. First contact. The Galactic Consortium's Grand Assembly Hall on the capital world of Nexus Prime buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 1,000 worlds shifted uneasily in their seats, whispering in a cacophony of languages. Rumors had been spreading for weeks. Tales of ghost ships appearing on the fringes of known space, of entire systems going dark only to reappear days later, changed. High Arbiter Zexala, a towering insectoid being draped in shimmering robes, called for order. Esteemed delegates, their multi-toned voice reverberated through the chamber. We have gathered to address the growing unrest in our. The Arbiter's words were cut short as the hall's massive holographic display flickered to life, overriding all security protocols. A collective gasp rippled through the assembly as a face appeared. Unmistakably human. Dr. Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, her heart racing, as she gazed out at the sea of alien faces. This was the moment they had prepared for, the point of no return. Greetings, citizens of the galaxy, she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. I am Dr. Ilara Voss, speaking on behalf of humanity, a species many of you were told was extinct. Chaos erupted in the assembly hall. Delegates leaped to their feet, shouting in 100 tongues. Zexala's guards rushed to secure the room, but found their weapons mysteriously offline. Ilara continued, her words cutting through the pandemonium. 3,000 years ago, the Galactic Consortium, or rather, the Void Harbingers who control it, attempted to eradicate my people. They failed. We survived. We endured. And now we have returned. On screens across the galaxy, from the glittering spires of core worlds to the ramshackle colonies on the fringe, Ilara's message played. But we do not come seeking vengeance for ourselves alone. We come as liberators, armed with the truth and the means to break the Harbinger's hold on our shared cosmos. The hologram shifted, displaying evidence of the Void Harbinger's true nature. the energy siphoning operations, the deliberate suppression of technological and cultural growth, the countless species culled before reaching their potential. In the assembly hall, High Arbiter's Excelis form began to waver, like heat shimmer on a desert horizon. Their voice, once melodious, took on a harsh, grating quality. Lies. Deceptions. They screeched. This human filth seeks to destabilize the peace we have maintained for millennia. But the Arbiter's words fell on increasingly deaf ears as more and more delegates saw the truth. Species that had long been at odds found common ground in their shared oppression. The Void Harbinger's carefully maintained illusion was crumbling. Ilara's voice rose with passion. To those who have suffered under the Harbinger's rule, we offer alliance. To those who have been deceived, we offer enlightenment. And to the Void Harbingers themselves, we offer this warning. Your reign of terror ends now. As if on cue, the Prometheus decloaked in orbit around Nexus Prime, flanked by ships of a dozen different species, the first fruits of humanity's diplomatic efforts. The sight of the advanced fleet sent shockwaves through the consortium's military leadership. In the assembly hall, several delegates broke ranks, openly declaring their support for the human-led alliance. Others, longtime puppets of the Harbingers, attempted to rally opposition, but found their power base quickly eroding. High Arbiter's Exela, their true form now fully visible, a writhing mass of void dark tentacles, lashed out in desperation. You think you can challenge us? We are eternal. We have feasted on the dreams of 1,000 civilizations. Ilara's eyes narrowed. Perhaps, but you've never faced humanity at its full potential, and you've certainly never faced us with the Precursor's legacy at our backs. The words hit like a physical blow. For the first time in eons, fear flickered across the Void Harbinger's alien features. As the assembly devolved into chaos, Ilara turned to her crew. Transmit the coordinates for Sanctuary to all Allied ships. It's time for Phase 2. Across the galaxy, vessels of every shape and size began to break formation, jumping to predetermined rally points. The Prometheus itself vanished in a flash of light, leaving the consortium capital in disarray. In the following days, the galaxy erupted in a frenzy of activity. Long-suppressed resistance movements, emboldened by humanity's return and armed with precursor technology, rose up against their oppressors. Consortium loyalists found themselves outnumbered and outgunned as entire star systems declared independence. The Void Harbingers, there. The confrontation. The vast expanse of space surrounding the Sanctuary Station buzzed with activity as ships from 100 different species converged. At the heart of this makeshift armada, the Prometheus held position, its sleek form a testament to the fusion of human ingenuity and precursor technology. On the bridge, Dr. Ilara Voss stood before a holographic display of the gathered fleet. The allies they'd made over the past months had answered the call, bringing with them others who had suffered under the Void Harbinger's rule. It was an impressive sight, but Ilara knew the real battle was yet to come. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the tension thrumming through the air. Captain Talon Reed, his face grim, responded from his station. "The consortium's loyalist forces are in disarray, but the Void Harbingers have begun to rally. Our long-range sensors detect massive energy signatures approaching from the galactic core." Ilara nodded, her hand unconsciously going to the precursor pendant around her neck. "They're done hiding. Good. Patch me through to the fleet." As she spoke, her words were translated into 1,000 different languages, reaching every ship in the Alliance. "This is Dr. Ilara Voss. The moment we've prepared for is upon us. The Void Harbingers are coming, not to cull a single world or species, but to try and stamp out the flame of resistance we've ignited." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Many of you have suffered for generations under their dominion. You've seen your cultures stagnate, your potential squandered to feed their insatiable hunger. But today, we have a chance to break that cycle. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for the future of all sentient life in the galaxy. As if in response to her words, alarms blared across the fleet. The Void Harbingers had arrived. Their ships defied conventional physics, more like tears in the fabric of space than vessels. Dark energy crackled around them, hungrily reaching out towards the Allied fleet. At their center loomed a monstrosity that dwarfed even the largest battleships, the Harbinger's flagship, a roiling mass of void stuff given form. All ships assumed defensive formations, Talon barked. Activate Novus flare countermeasures. The battle erupted in a dazzling display of light and energy. Precursor-enhanced weapons fire lanced out from the Allied ships, meeting the Harbinger's dark energy projections in spectacular collisions. But for every Harbinger ship they managed to destroy, 2 more seemed to materialize from the void. On the Prometheus, Ilara coordinated the fleet's movements. Her mind interfaced directly with the ship's systems, thanks to precursor neural tech. She could feel the ebb and flow of the battle, the triumphs and losses of every Allied vessel. "We can't keep this up forever." Genro's voice cut through her concentration. The former archaeologist, now her chief science officer, looked haggard but determined. "The Novus flares are effective, but our energy reserves are draining fast." Ilara's mind raced. They had known this would be a difficult fight, but the Harbinger's power was beyond even their worst projections. There had to be a way to turn the tide. Suddenly, her pendant pulsed with energy, and a memory from the precursor archives flashed through her mind. "The Nexus," she breathed. "Gen, what if we could disrupt the Harbinger's connection to their energy source?" Understanding dawned in Gen's eyes. The Galactic core. It's not just a power source for them. It's a focal point. If we could overload it with creative energy, we could shatter their link to this dimension. Ilara finished. She turned to Talon. "Captain, plot a course for the core. And tell the fleet. Tell them to give us everything they've got. Every spark of creativity, every dream, every wild idea. We're going to show the Harbingers what it means to face the combined potential of a galaxy unleashed." The Prometheus plunged towards the heart of the Milky Way, taking heavy fire as it weaved through the chaos of battle. Allied ships closed ranks around it, many sacrificing themselves to ensure humanity's flagship reached its target. As they approached the swirling energies of the Galactic core, Ilara felt the weight of countless civilizations' hopes on her shoulders. The Void Harbingers, sensing their intent, redoubled their assault. Dark tendrils of energy lashed out, threatening to tear the Prometheus apart. "Now," Ilara cried, activating the ship's primary weapon, a massive Novus flare, powered by the combined creative output of every Allied species. A beam of pure possibility lanced out from the Prometheus, striking the heart of the Galactic core. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a reality-shaking boom, the core erupted in a nova of creative energy. The effect on the Void Harbingers was immediate and catastrophic. Their ships writhed in agony, dark forms unraveling as they were cut off from their power source. The massive flagship imploded, collapsing in on itself like a dying star. As the light from the core faded, an eerie silence fell over the battlefield. The remaining Harbinger vessels drifted lifelessly, their threat neutralized. On the bridge of the Prometheus, battered but unbroken, Ilara allowed herself a moment of disbelief. "We did it," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "We actually did it." The comm channels erupted with cheers and cries of victory in 100 languages. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The Void Harbingers had been defeated. Humanity, once thought extinct, had returned to lead a coalition of species to freedom. But as Ilara looked out at the starfield, now forever changed by their actions, she knew that this was not an end, but a beginning. The galaxy was entering a new age, one of untold possibilities and challenges. And humanity, tested by fire and tempered by millennia of hardship, would be at the forefront of shaping this new cosmic order. The real work, she realized, was just beginning. A new dawn. The grand chamber of the new Galactic Alliance buzzed with excitement as representatives from thousands of worlds gathered for the first official assembly. The massive structure, built from the remnants of the old consortium capital and infused with precursor technology, floated serenely in orbit around a newly terraformed world, aptly named Genesis. Dr. Ilara Voss stood at the podium, her eyes scanning the diverse crowd before her. 5 years had passed since the defeat of the Void Harbingers, 5 years of rebuilding, reconciliation, and rapid progress. The galaxy was transforming at a pace that would have been unthinkable under the old regime. Esteemed delegates, Ilara began, her voice carrying easily through the chamber. We gather today not just to celebrate our victory over oppression, but to chart the course for our shared future. The fall of the Void Harbingers has unleashed a wave of creativity and innovation across the galaxy. But with this great power comes great responsibility. Holographic displays sprang to life around the chamber, showing the myriad developments of the past 5 years. Worlds once stripped bare by the Harbingers' hunger were blooming with new life. Species on the brink of extinction were flourishing, their unique perspectives adding to the richness of galactic culture. The precursors chose humanity as their inheritors. Ilara continued, not to rule but to guide. Our role is not to dictate the path of progress, but to ensure that all species have the opportunity to reach their full potential. She gestured to the assembled delegates. Each of you represents not just your own people, but the infinite possibilities of what they might become. The new Galactic Alliance is founded on the principle that diversity is our greatest strength. By working together, by sharing our knowledge and our dreams, we can achieve wonders beyond imagining. As if to underscore her words, a murmur of excitement rippled through the chamber. Outside, visible through the transparent dome, a massive ship was decloaking. Its design was like nothing seen before, a seamless blend of organic and technological elements. Behold, Ilara said, a smile playing at her lips, the Dawn Treader, the first of a new class of exploration vessels, designed to push the boundaries of known space. It's crewed not just by humans, but by members of every species in the Alliance. Together, they will seek out new life, new civilizations, and new frontiers of science and culture. The announcement was met with thunderous applause. The idea of exploration for its own sake, of discovery untainted by the hunger for power, was intoxicating to species long suppressed by the Harbingers. As the cheers died down, Ilara's tone became more somber. But we must not forget the lessons of the past. The power we now wield, the legacy of the precursors combined with our own innovation, could easily become a force for domination if misused. She held up her pendant, its soft glow visible to all. This is why we have created the Cosmic Accord, a living document that will help guide our use of advanced technology. It enshrines the rights of all sentient beings and establishes protocols for uplifting pre-spaceflight civilizations. We will not repeat the mistakes of those who came before us. The chamber grew quiet as the weight of her words sank in. The responsibility they all shared was enormous, but so was the potential for growth and discovery. There are still challenges ahead, Ilara acknowledged. Remnants of the old consortium resist change. Some worlds, traumatized by millennia of oppression, are hesitant to join our alliance. And beyond the borders of known space, who knows what wonders or dangers await? She straightened, her voice ringing with conviction. But I have faith in humanity, in our allies, in the combined spirit of a galaxy reborn. Together, we will face these challenges. Together, we will explore the cosmos. And together, we will build a future worthy of the legacy we've inherited. As Ilara stepped back from the podium, the chamber erupted in a standing ovation. Species that had once been bitter enemies now stood side by side, united in their vision for the future. Later, as the formal proceedings wound down, Ilara found herself on an observation deck, gazing out at the star-studded expanse. She felt a presence beside her, and turned to see Genrel, his eyes also fixed on the horizon. "Quite a view, isn't it?" he said softly. Ilara nodded. Sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come. From hiding on Novus Prime to this. Jen smiled. The Void Harbingers thought they could extinguish the fire of human potential. Instead, they only forced it to burn hotter, to spread to every corner of the galaxy. We've been given a second chance, Ilara mused. Not just humanity, but every species out there. It's up to us to make the most of it. As if in response to her words, the Dawn Treader's engines flared to life. The magnificent ship began to move, embarking on its maiden voyage into the unknown. Ilara watched it go, feeling a mixture of pride and anticipation. Humanity had returned from the brink of extinction, faced down cosmic horrors, and helped reshape the galaxy. But their greatest adventures, she knew, were still to come. The dawn of a new age had truly begun, and the universe itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what wonders would unfold.